So Shamina Begum now wants to return home. What's up, guys? This is GN Guy. If you like my content, don't forget to like, leave a comment, and follow me on social media on the description. So, 19-year-old who fled the UK when about 4 years ago now wants to return home because she's desperate to go back into the nice and nurturing bosom of the West. She wants the social services that she left, and she wants to come back to the UK. She regrets her decision, basically. So, the teenager who traveled to Syria to join Islamic State has called the people in the UK to have sympathy for her. Day after giving birth to her boy in a refugee camp, I have no sympathy for her. This woman, she betrayed her fellow Brits, went over to ISIS to. She's basically an enemy combatant. She now wants to return home. She went there to help establish a radical Islamist organization. She's as completely antithetical to what just the liberal values of the West. I'm not talking about liberals as in the leftists. I'm talking about liberals as in the classical liberal that we have over here. The social democracies we have in the West. In my opinion, it's one of the best forms of government. But she took it for granted, and she went to the UK because it seemed. She went to Syria because it seemed romantic, and she wanted to fight for the caliphate. Shamima Begum, 19, who's left the UK with two school friends in 2015, smoked to the time, which heavily pregnant at the time earlier the week in al-Hawl refugee camp in northeastern Syria. See, you made your bet, you go lie in it. She said she's desperate to come home. Of course she is. Family's lawyer, Tasnime Akunjee, said Begum has given birth on Saturday and said that had not direct contact with her. They understand both she and the baby were in good health. Speaking to Sky News on Saturday, she's sitting in a newborn and said, "I feel a lot of people should have sympathy for me." Why? Why should they have sympathy for you? For someone I've been through, I don't know what I'm getting into what I was getting into when I left. I was hoping that maybe at the sake of me and my child, they let me come to the UK.
How are you feeling?
I just gave birth, so I'm really tired.
And can you tell me a bit about the child?
It's a boy. Yeah. I named him after my old son. That's what my husband wanted.
I have no sympathy for this woman. She went over to fight ISIS. It's well known what ISIS is. They behead people. They instill extreme and totalitarian rules on non-Muslims and people that don't even follow, even Muslims that don't adhere to ISIS's strict interpretation of Islam. She went there just to support those people, which is anyone who actively supports a totalitarian or institution. They should be held to the same standards. Like the same people that support banning of certain words or hate speech, they should be banned for saying certain words. But she actively so let me digress for a moment. So she actively went there to support this totalitarian organization. After the totalitarian organization completely fell and is at the brink of being destroyed, she wants to, she's begging us to bring her home. She considered us the enemies. She wants to come home. She's been in that place. She's been trained for X amount of years. She's instilled with that ideology, and you could see she has no remorse. All this is just desperation for her child to have a better life. And I can understand that. That's something that's universal. You can empathize with her on that department. But what I don't want her to do is I don't want her to come back to the UK, because she voluntarily left that. She voluntarily left the bosom of Western democracy to foster a totalitarian organization. So Akunjee, the lawyer, said the news that the birth changed the dynamics of the situation and increased pressure from the government to let Begum and her now child back. We are now dealing with an innocent child who would like to get out of the camp and back to the UK. See, I would maybe I would allow her child to come back to the UK, but I wouldn't want her to come back. She's already made her decision. Her child did not make the decision that she made, and that's unfortunate for the child. But I don't like the only case I would want that child to come. Like I would allow a child to come back to the UK would be in the case that he has no contact with his biological mother, because they obviously they're always gonna raise them with the same intention that same ideals that they've already had, and you can already see what ideals she has. She has no regret for joining ISIS. She even said it, like, I don't regret coming here, and she's learned nothing from her mistake. She's obviously made a mistake, but he doesn't care. We would like every effort made to the British government to let the baby back, despite the words of Home Secretary, who has been showing to be wrong by the Justice Department and head the MI6 and experts in international law. Asked to respond to concerns she would be potentially dangerous, and in return, Begum said, "They don't have any evidence against me doing anything dangerous. When I went to Syria, I was just a housewife. I treated 4 years. I stayed in the home, took care of my husband, took care of my kids. I never did anything, never made propaganda, never encouraged people to come to Syria." We don't know the contrary either. You could be saying, this is just at this point, it's a he said, she said situation. But what we do know is you went over to enemy territory to aid the enemy. And I don't even know, like, maybe it's in very dire circumstances that very specific circumstances that her child should be given. I don't know, I'm kind of on the razor's edge with this. Maybe the child should be come back to the UK, maybe not. Who knows? Begum said that she had not met any British consular officials, only journalists. Asked what she thought about life may be like back at home, she said, "I don't know, because I know that I would be a lot of restrictions on me. I don't know what they take my child away. They should." Begum married Yago Rejek, 27, a Dutch convert to Islam, 10 days after arriving to the city of Raqqa in 2015. She had 2 children, both of whom died. She told Times she wanted to return home to protect the health of her new baby. Her family called the British government to allow her to return to the UK, and the child can be cleared for peace and security. But the Home Secretary, Sajid Javid, said that they would hesitate to block her return. "My message is clear. If you support terrorist organizations abroad, will not be hesitate to prevent your return," he said. "If you manage to return, you should be ready to be questioned, investigated, and potentially prosecuted." Writing on the Sunday Times, Javid said, "As a father, I feel compassion for anyone born and brought into conflict zone, but I consider what actions need to be taken right now. I have to think about the safety and security of children living in the country, as you should." In the statement issued on Sunday, the family said her apparent lack of regret after joining has seen at the words of the girl who was groomed at the age of 15. "Now we are facing the situation of knowing that Shamina's young child has died. Children we will never come to know in the family. This is the hardest news to bear," the statement said. "The welfare of Shamina's unborn child is paramount concern to our family, and we will do everything within our power to protect the baby, whom entirely blameless in this event." And the baby is blameless. I'm not a believer on visiting the father's crimes on an innocent child. Child doesn't do anything. Speaking to the BBC's Andrew Morris show, the Culture Secretary Jeremy Wright said the nationality of Begum's child is not straightforward. He said, and if there were concerns about the health of the baby, but that if she will return to the UK, she would have to answer for her actions. British citizens who only are British citizens are entitled to come back to the UK. That's a matter of international law, and the matter of international law too, and the domestic law potentially. People also have to take responsibility for their actions, and sees no exception to that. Shamima Begum, Qazi Sultana, and Amina Bassett followed their school friend Shamima Begum traveled to Syria, join ISIS, and half-term break on February 2015. 3 pupils on Bethel Green Academy, aged 15 and 16, took Turkish Airlines to Gatwick to Istanbul before crossing to Syria, same route Begum taken earlier. After 4 All four ended up in Raqqa, where they married off jihadists. Oh, there's 4 people. Never mind. Sermina and Shamina. Oh, names. Excuse me. Jihadists who had come to Syria, the world. Speaking of the time, Shamima Begum confirmed the Sultana was killed at age 17 by airstrike on May 2016. Shamima Begum said that she heard 2 weeks ago that Amina Basit and Shamima Begum were still alive. They decided to stay in Baghouz, ISIS last stronghold, where they sat there in June. But yeah, no sympathy for this girl. And I don't think if she were to come back to the UK, I think she should be sterilized. She should not, like, if you're an enemy combatant and you're espousing such totalitarian views, you should not be able to bear children and give these children. You should not be able to be in, just like how the sex offenders, they are registered, they're not allowed to come near children. These people should not be able to use the internet to propagate their views. There should be severe restrictions on people like this. They should not be able to have children. And I know I'm probably it's probably extreme, but I don't want, that's the only way I would have her come back to the West. I don't feel safe with her, and she should be monitored very closely. She's very dangerous. She spent 3-4 years in ISIS. She's been pretty inundated with the ideology. She went there and she's lived there, and I don't feel safe with her coming back. Her child, that's a different story. So guys, leave a comment. Tell me what you think in the comment section. Social media is in the description. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.